Hello, I'm Helen Sattler, your Destiny Helper, here to answer questions that you are asking. Thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel. And all of my new subscribers, thank you so very much. If this teaching has blessed you, please like and share the page. I am here to ask to answer a question that was given from a very dear heart. And I pray that this teaching will be a real blessing to you. We are talking about trauma bonding, cemented to my terror, or cemented to my terrorists. Because trauma bonding is such a tremendous thing, because it traumatizes you, then rewards you. Cognitive dissonance take you back and forth, and it takes the brain through shock waves, and it brings confusion to your thought pattern. It brings misdirection, so it's not a flow of thoughts. It is a discombobulation of thoughts. One minute you feel like you love, and the next minute you feel like you are traumatized. This brings us a stronger bond to the individual that you are in a relationship with on your side, or a connection with on the narcissist side. Narcissism maximize you in trauma bonding, because the narcissists want to discard and know that they will discard you, and they want to make sure that they have room to come back to create more terror, more pain. And once you are left and discarded, you are so traumatized. Your brain knows that you are traumatized, and you're thinking, I should be able to cut the bond. Even if you were in love with the person and then you fall out of love with the person, you're going to find that bonding and trauma connection together makes it harder to dissimulate that relationship, to disconnect that relationship, to totally destroy that relationship. You can be with someone for months, and you may find your trauma can go on for years without the right therapeutic help. But God has given you the wisdom. God will send people in your life to help you. But a relationship with a narcissist, they maximize the trauma and the bonding. That's why the Stockholm Syndrome is so tremendous, because they love their killer, they love their abuser, they love their predator, they fight for their predator, they defend their predator, and they get angry when anyone rise up against their predator. And this is the way it is when you are with a narcissist. You're in constant denial that they are what you see. When the mask come off, you have been so love bombed. And you got to remember, in the trauma and the bonding part is when they reward you. They're giving you goodies, and they're love bombing you. They're caring for you. They're rewarding you. They're complimenting you. They are exciting you over the good and grandeur things that you are doing, but it is not sincere. Then right after that, they come in to traumatize you, to devalue you. Excuse me, to let you know all the things that you are not doing right, all the things that you are doing wrong. And it confuses the brain. It sends shockwaves to the brain. Trauma bonding can be so tremendous, and it is very, very, very painful when you are trauma bond. You wonder why things get so good, and why the narcissist does not care for you. Listen to this. Young man by the name of Patrick Carnes, he developed the term describe the misuse of fear. And he said it's excitement, sexual feeling, sexual physiology to entangle another person. A simpler and more encompassing trauma bonding. It is a strong emotional attachment between the abuser and the prey. He is a predator, but you see the predator in a heroic form rather than the abused form. Your emotions get entangled with that. And when you are trauma bond, it affects how you see things. It affects your perspective. You don't see things with the truth. You see things with what you feel, what you experience. You're discombobulated in thoughts. You're discombobulated in ideas. What you know love is being rewritten. The script of your life is being rewritten. And some of you that have not been in pain, that go in pain, especially when you're a virgin in your emotions with the narcissist, you've never been involved with the narcissist, and the kind of pain that you are enduring is mind-boggling, and you never had this experience with anybody on this scale. So your brain is going through shock waves, back and forth, back and forth. 1 minute he loved me, 1 minute he don't. 1 minute he discard me, boom, he's right back there with the Hoover. And then he leaves you, and he leaves you to your thoughts, and you are embedded in your thoughts, and you're constantly turning these thoughts over and over and over again. And the more you think about it, the more painful it gets. And then you try to disassociate yourself with the pain by denying what has happened, because you're setting yourself up hoping that and praying that this narcissist will come back, because you really believed that the narcissist loved you and the narcissist care for you. And then you deny what you see, and then finally you get information about the individual you're dealing with is a narcissist, and you go in full denial, because remember, with the trauma bonding there was a reward system. So they traumatize you, reward you, confuse you, traumatize you, reward you, and confuse you. Trauma bonding always works for the predator, because it set the prey up to return. The prey is so misdirected until the prey don't know where to go. The prey don't know what to do. But if you know, I also come from a spiritual side, because I believe that God has given us wisdom and that God has given us victory, no matter how hard and how difficult it is of things that we go through. And we can go through some tremendous things. You know, life can be something. You know, when you're living, life can happen. And based on what you're connected to and who you connected to, it will assure you how you are affected. And many of you have been emotionally stalemated, stalled. You have been stuck. You've had your personality rewritten because you no longer know who you are. When you look in the mirror, you don't see yourself. You see what you've been through. You see the pain that you're enduring. So now it's not you talking to you, it's you talking to your pain, and your pain is responding back to you. You have become kinsperson. You become friend, intricate friend, intimate with your pain, with your trauma. And if you stay there long enough and the cycle continue, you would think that you deserve that kind of treatment. As a matter of fact, you will look for that kind of treatment in a discard. Those of you, excuse me, may have wondered, what is wrong with me? You go from a relationship with a narcissist and you go to another traumatized relationship because you never heal and the magnet is still there. You draw another narcissist, which causes a deeper wound because you're already sensitized by the first narcissist. So this second narcissist, his job is easier because the first narcissist have paved the way. And he paid the way for you to get hurt. A narcissist can detect whether you've been wounded, whether you've been hurting, whether you're still limping, whether you're still leaking, whether you are still confused, whether you're still discombobulated, whether you are inside, you're everywhere on the inside. Your mind, your body, everything is disharmonized. You're not joined together with yourself. You don't have peace with yourself. You know, this weekend when I had a guest speaker coming all the way from North Carolina, he came and it was such an awesome conference. But we went to the Snoqualmie Path and we saw the Snoqualmie fall. Very beautiful, but that water was coming down with such vigor and it was so loud, and yet it was so beautiful until it was almost mesmerizing. And does that sound like what you go through? He is so wonderful. She is so wonderful until they're mesmerizing. And then all of a sudden, tons and tons of pain come in your heart, come in your hearing, and you're like, where did this come from? The narcissist has to have it. They're so empty, they're so void, and they have to cause that pain. When they cause that pain, they feel alive, because when you hurt, it don't make them look so bad because you deserve it. And sometimes you can look at a narcissist and he look like he hate you rather than love you. She looked like she hates you rather than love you, because it's a traumatizing relationship. It is a traumatized connection, that trauma bonding. The narcissist always set themselves up just in case they return. You will readily receive them. And that's why some people, after a week, they get a Hoover and they think the narcissist is gone, or they get a discard and they think that it's over. It's not over. As long as you're living and you're breathing, it's not over with the narcissist. Sometimes the narcissist will backtrack when there is a fuel need and the fuel is lacking and they haven't got a new supply that can accommodate their needs. They will backtrack to a Hoover, especially when you gave copious fuel. They will always come back, and they have to, something will spark their memory, especially when you get the narcissist, and I mean they have tons of supply that they went through. If you could see the history of where they have been, it'd probably be rows and rows of bodies laid out, some dead, some wounded so bad they can't move. Others are crawling, the others are on their knees, some are just crying out, some asking why, some in blood still looking for the narcissist, saying please come back. Even though they're bleeding, even though they're hurting, they're saying please come back, don't leave me. That is the trauma bonding. When you want what hurts you, you want what's tearing you, you want what's destroying you, that Stockholm Syndrome is working, and you defend them because you would rather have them painfully present than painfully gone. But the pain will be there, and the trauma is vicious. It has such an alligator bite where it clamps down on you with such pounds and pounds of pain. You can adjust to anything, even pain. Do you deserve it? Absolutely not. And you have to gain your momentum. You have to gain your strength. You said, Helen, how do I get out of it? What do I do? You must first identify your location. Identify what is going on. You cannot do anything that you refuse to identify. And the only thing about the Stockholm Syndrome or the trauma bonding, it takes you into denial. You deny what is happening. You don't want to confront it. You don't want to face it, because in the midst of trauma bonding, you see tremendous loss. Excuse me. And when you see loss, you can handle the thought. You can handle the thought of losing what you love. And you take and make up the picture that you want to see about them loving you. You become a screenwriter, and you write the screenplay in your mind. You become the theater, and you project the movie that you want to believe. But deep down in your conscious realm, your subconscious, you know in your heart that it's not true, but your mind can't bear it. The emotions are over here, your thoughts are over here, and your hopes is running down the middle, hoping that none of it is true. You try harder, you work harder, you serve harder, you love harder, you submit harder, you give more of what you have until you have nothing else to give. And then you go find something somewhere just to keep giving so you can keep having. But you know you lost them a long time ago. But you believe that you're in power to win them back. Back? When were they there? They were there in the love bombing. If you localize and reflect, that was the only time you really had them. Or when they had something they needed, they were right there with you. That was the reward. They needed you. And then once you supplied that need, you went right back to trauma. You were so traumatized, separated from everybody, but you did not care. You would do anything to be with the narcissist. You would give up your family. You would neglect your children until you don't have energy. Now that you want to give back to them, you really don't have energy to give back. You are totally drained until now you realize the true effects of the narcissist. And you said, I have to leave. And you realize you've been out of love with the narcissist a long time, but now you are addicted to the situation. You've been so traumatized until the pain will not cover up the actual event of what is happening. So the narcissist discard you and you think I'm out, but you have merged with the trauma bonding. So you get into another relationship and it has to equalize to what you've been used to. You get someone to love you, to care for you. You can't even connect with that because you're discombobulated. You have been trauma bonded and you have been trained to that trauma. You are a trained individual through the systems that work, to the cycles that work, the perpetuality of the constants that was done has left a mark on your soul. It has left a mark on your heart. You find yourself scratching in memory for anything that will replace the pain and the hurt. You have voids and you're stuck. And because you are stuck to what happened, to the trauma bonding, instead of the person who created the bond, you go back to the person because you need the situation to happen. Because now that trauma has become your fuel for life. Because you have been trained not to want anything else. And if someone loved you and treated you like you are worth it, like you are meaningful, like you have value, you find that you can't handle this. It's too weak for you. You need someone to abuse you. This sounds really crazy. Trauma bonding set you up for that kind of lifestyle. And then you'll find you are a magnet for what always hurt you. The predator finds you. He pick up your beacon. He pick up your frequency. No matter how you claw out of it, you come right back. You scream to come back. You hitchhike to come back. You will hijack your own mind to go to what you've been trained to. And your mind will adjust even though it's confused because you've not been taught that's what love is. So you're rewriting your encyclopedia based on your experience. And what you are saying, I would rather be traumatized and bonded to my narcissist than to live with this aching hole on the inside of me. Well, let me tell you, you are greater than an aching hole. You are more valuable than an aching hole, but you have to change the way you think. You have to redirect your thoughts, and it is hard work when you have been trained in trauma because that trauma will bond you. It looks for an attachment realm, an attachment person, an attachment persona. It looks for anything that it can grab a hold to and connect like glue. And then it's a rest period that comes to your emotion. It's a rest period that comes to your mind until your mind wake up and realize, what have I done? How did I get back here? How do I end up back here? This is not even what I want. And if you are traumatized and you have children, what would they be when they are with you? They will get the same schedule. They will get the same activities as you get, except they are getting adult pain on a child mindset. And it's blowing their mind because if you hurt and you're wounded, that child is hurt and that child is wounded, but that child don't have the understanding and cannot integrate like you can in your maturity, but your maturity have been broken down, and the bonding, because the narcissists also value those who can handle pain, because they know they're going to cause pain. They know there's no relationship without pain. They know the pain is going to come up in the equation, so they got to get someone trained to handle this. That's why after a few weeks, few months, you start asking, but what did I do wrong? What is happening here? He is training you. He need long-term supply. Even though he's going to discard it, even though he's going to leave it, he needs long-term supply, because the pain that he's going to cause is going to come over and over and over. You want to break the cycle. You want to get out of the cycle. You want to recognize your worth. You don't want to keep being abused. You don't want to keep running from the predator. You don't want to keep hiding from the predator. And then when the predator turns his back, you jump out to let him know where you are so he can run for you again. And you're running and you're tired and you know the predator is behind. But you want to run until you can't run anymore, because you're psyching your mind out and you're making it seem like you couldn't go, that you were overtaken. But the truth of it is, you became the person who hoovered the predator. When you are hoovered and you yield to the hoovering, you have yielded to the predator. Predator must have prey. Your emotion, your mind, your time, your family, your dreams, your life, your hopes, your destiny, your goals, your ambition, your momentum, your energy, your God, your family. All of it is up for grabs when you have been trauma bonded. You know, the Bible tells us, greater is he that is within us than he that is in the world. But when within has been covered up by so much trauma that occurred without, how can you grab your strength? Find one somebody that you can talk to. One. Find one somebody that you can be naked and unashamed. One. That you can trust, that is strong, that is prayerful, that is wise, that will guard you and safeguard. Someone that you can keep from the predator. And find time to talk with them. Christians, pray for them. If you're not a Christian, find a positive someone that can be of strength to you. Relocate your thoughts. Relocate your consistency. Relocate your mind. And you will relocate and find who you are. Once you find who you are, the bond starts to break. When you start to minimize the bond, you start to change your desires. You no longer desire what you were bonded to, because trauma bonding, and if it's a bond, bonding can be broken, like chains can be broken. And it can be broken out of your emotion, broken out of your life, based on how long you were traumatized. That's the depth of time you're going to need. A good therapist like my daughter, Dr. Carmen Bryan. You can go on her YouTube channel. She is a narcissist specialist. She assists in what you painfully have endured, what you painfully are enduring, what you painfully went through. She can assist you on a professional level. It's the cement attached to terror. It's the cement that take away your tomorrow. It's the cement attached to hopelessness, and none of that belongs to you. You can overcome trauma bonding one day at a time with a good therapist, Christians, a good church, a wise pastor can help you. Life doesn't end because you're in pain. And life doesn't end because you were traumatized. For you, it can just begin again. I'm Helen Sattler, your destiny helper. Live again. Life will reward you for fighting back. God bless you.